the accomplishments of the person who bore that name and gave it its weight before you dare capitalize on it in a public sphere. For a long time I understood nihilism very well. I could understand its rationale, associated with the tragedy of life, associating with suffering and evil, associated with the observation of finitude and the arbitrary and unjust nature of the world. But the more I've thought about it, the less I've come to believe that there's any excuse for it whatsoever. And I think the reason for that is that it forestalls effort. It forestalls the ability to discover for yourself. Maybe there's no reason to be so goddamn hopeless, except that it's easier to be useless. Better to engage with it and see what happens, and better to make the assumption that if the world isn't returning to you what it is that you need, then either you're not doing it right or you've conceptualized what you need badly. Why not at least open yourself up to that possibility, right? Because you could be wrong. Hopefully, if you're suffering, this is a great thing to know. Hopefully, if you're suffering, you're wrong. Because if you're suffering and you're right, then there's nowhere to go. So it's very useful to find out whatever errors you might be committing. Another thing that's really interesting about the Jews in the Old Testament, it's a remarkable thing.
When striving to become successful, you need to make sure that you are constantly focused on what's truly important to you. And that's going to require you to sacrifice some things that you think that are important, but actually aren't going to help you one bit in the long term. It's just all about being aware of your time management. Figure out times that you have throughout your day that you don't have to do something, and put that towards your goals, and use that time to truly inspire yourself and do something that will benefit you down the line. Instead of sitting on your phone for 45 minutes in the morning, go ahead and take that time and use it for your dreams. Figure out what it is you want to do and figure out a way to pursue it, and put work into it every single day. Instead of being on your phone or sleeping in, go ahead and wake up earlier and spend less time on your phone. That is a huge time waster, your cell phone. You spend hours upon hours each and every single day just scrolling through social media or looking down on it because you think it's necessary or it's cool or you have to. When in actuality, you can get an entire day without using your phone, yet you choose not to. You choose to use it all the time, and it's totally interfering with your process and your road to success because it just sucks up your time. Take the time that you're wasting on your phone and put that towards your dreams, and you will become successful because you'll have so much time to focus on what it is you truly love and what you're truly passionate about.
You have to move from point A to B in life, but point A is often a very difficult place to be because we're fragile and bounded and mortal and limited, and because we know that. And so one of the implications of that, as many great religious traditions are at pains to illustrate or demonstrate or proclaim, is that life is essentially suffering. And I believe that to be a fundamental truth. But perhaps not the most fundamental truth, because I think the most fundamental truth is that despite the fact that life is suffering, people can transcend that. And partly the way they transcend that is by pursuing things of value. And so that if there is no value proposition at hand, then you have no meaning to justify the difficult conditions of your life. And that's brutally difficult for people. You know, Nietzsche said, he who has a why can bear any how. And you see, and I've certainly seen this as a clinical practitioner, that people who have no purpose in their life are embittered by the difficulties of their life. And they become first bitter, and then resentful, and then revengeful, and then cruel. And there's plenty of places to go past cruel. That's just where you start if you're really on a downhill path. The first thing you have to understand with regards to trying to come to terms with the conception of the shadow is to understand the idea of persona. And persona is the you that you present when you want people to accept and like you, often like. Let's say that you go to a party and you're trying to impress the people that are there, and you're trying to get them to like you, and so you maybe get jabbed at a little bit and you laugh, and you go along with everyone so that they like you, and then you go home and you're bitterly resentful about the way that you were put down at this party, and that's going to make all sorts of aggressive, I wish I could have said, it's going to make all sorts of aggressive and vengeful thoughts sort of flash through your imagination. Well, the first part of the problem is that you were too much persona, right? You sacrificed yourself in some sense at the party so that people would like you. And in the second part, you're refusing to admit to the existence of those elements of you that would have actually protected you from doing that. So let's say you go home and you're all bitter and resentful and you have fantasies of revenge. I mean, that reveals to you the shadow part of you that's aggressive. Stop doing the things that you know are wrong that you could stop doing. right? So it's a fairly limited attempt. First of all, we're not going to say that you know what the good is or what the truth is in any ultimate sense. But we will presume that there are things that you're doing that for one reason or another you know are not in your best interests. There's something about them that you just know you should stop. They're kind of self-evident to you. Other things you're going to be doubtful about. You're not going to know which way is up and which way is down. But there are things that you're doing that you know you shouldn't do. Now, some of those you won't stop doing for whatever reason. You don't have the discipline, or maybe there's a secondary payoff, or you don't believe it's necessary, or it's too much of a sacrifice, or you're angry or resentful or afraid. Who knows? So forget about those for now. But there's another subset that you could stop doing. It might be a little thing. Well, that's fine. Stop doing it and see what happens. And what'll happen is your vision will clear a little bit. And then something else will pop up in your field of apprehension that you will also know you should stop doing, and that you could stop doing because you've strengthened yourself a bit by stopping doing the particular stupid thing that you were doing before. That just puts you together a little bit more.
Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you thought down in the comment section below.